ஆக்சுவலாக ஃபஸ்ட்டு இந்த கான்ஃபரன்ஸ்க்கு இந்த கூப்பிடும்போது நான் இவ்வளோ கிராண்டாக இருக்குன்னு நான் எதிர்பார்க்கல. பட் சச் எ கிரேட் எஃபோர்ட். அது மாதிரி இந்தியன் ஃபிலாசபியில் மனுஷன் சக்ஸஸ் ஆகிறான், இல்லை ஒரு பெரிய ஐஏஎஸ் ஆஃபீஸர் ஆகிறான், இல்லை பிரசிடெண்ட் ஆகிறான், இல்லை பெரிய மருத்துவர் ஆகிறான், இல்லை பெரிய பாலிட்டிஷியன் ஆகிறான், அதெல்லாம் பெரிய விஷயம் இல்லை. ஹவு எ மேன் இஸ் ஏபிள் டு பி ஹாப்பி பை ஹிம்செல்ஃப் அண்ட் சஸ்டைன்ஸ் இஸ் ஹாப்பினஸ். ஸோ தட் மேட்டர்ஸ் த மோஸ்ட். ஸோ ஒன் இஃப் அட் ஆல் important. One is body and second is the mind. ஸோ இந்த ரெண்டு காம்பனண்ட்டை வந்து எப்படி நம்ம ரொம்ப சிறப்பாக வச்சுக்க முடியும் அப்படிங்கிறத வந்து நம்ம இந்தியன் டெக்ஸ்ட்டில் மட்டும்தான் நீங்கள் பார்க்க முடியும். ஸோ அப்படி பார்க்கும்போது டுடே அவர் திஸ் ஈவெண்ட் as is able to bring about all the various components under one roof and explain to the people and needy persons as to how we can make ourselves more healthy and how we can make our thoughts and deeds more beautiful, more attractive and more useful, divineful. அவ்வளோ எக்ஸலண்ட்டாக பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. அது மட்டும் இல்லை, வேரியஸ் ஹோமியோபதி, ஆயுர்வேதா, சித்தா, நேச்சுரோபதி, அலோபதி, எக்கச்சக்கமான எல்லா விதமான காம்பவுண்டுங்க ஒரே ரூஃப் கீழே கொண்டு வந்து பார்க்கும்போது ரொம்ப ஆச்சரியமாக இருக்குது. ஏன்னா அன்னைக்கு ஐ வாஸ் ரோமிங் அரவுண்ட் யூரோப் ஜஸ்ட் 3-4 years பேக். பார்க்கும்போது என்னுடைய பஸ்ஸில், டூரிஸ்ட் பஸ்ஸில் ஒரு 40 பேர் வந்தாங்க. அந்த 40 பேர் வந்து ஒரு 10 people ஃப்ரம் சவுத் ஆஃப்ரிக்கா அண்ட் 5-6 ஃப்ரம் சைனா, அது மாதிரி ஒவ்வொரு கண்ட்ரிலேருந்து வந்திருந்தாங்க. பிகாஸ் இட் இஸ் எ டூரிஸ்ட் பஸ். அப்போ என்னாச்சு அப்படின்னா, அப்போ வந்து ஒரு சைனாக்கார் வந்து எனக்கு ரொம்ப கான்ஸ்டிபேஷனாக இருக்குது, எனக்கு மைண்ட் ஒரு மாதிரி ஸ்ட்ரெஸ்ஸாக இருக்குது அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு இருந்தார். தென் ஆன் தட் டே ஐ வாஸ் டேக்கிங் சம் கடுக்காப்பொடி. ஸோ கடுக்காப்பொடி அவர் கேட்டார், என்ன வாட் இஸ் சொன்னால், இது வந்து சின்ன ஒரு பவுட்ரு தான், இது வந்து கான்ஸ்டிபேஷனுக்கு ரொம்ப ஈஸியாக இருக்கும். நாங்கள் ஐ கம் ஃப்ரம் இந்தியா, அதனால் எனக்கு இந்த டிஷ்ஷெல்லாம் வந்து ஒரு மாதிரி ஹார்டாக இருக்குது. இஃப் ஐ கேன் டேக் திஸ் மெடிசன் ஐ திங்க் டுமாரோ மை ஸ்டமக் வில் பி வெரி ஃப்ரீ அண்ட் மென்டலி ஐ வில் ஆல்சோ வெரி ஃப்ரீ அப்படின்னு. இஸ் இட் அப்போ நான் சாப்பிட்லாமா, அப்படி எதனா ஆகுமான்னு கேட்டார். நான் அந்த பொடியை சாப்பிட்றேன், உனக்கு நம்பிக்கை இருந்தால் சாப்பிடு, நான் கம்பல்லாம் பண்ண மாட்டேன் அப்படின்னு சொன்னேன். ஸோ இமீடியட்டாக அவரும் ஒரு ஸ்பூனில் ஹாட் வாட்டரில் குடித்து சாப்பிட்டாரு. ஸோ மறுநாள் காலையில் வந்து ஹெல்த்து ரொம்ப வயிறு கிளியர் ஆகிடுச்சு, மைண்டு பயங்கரமாக ஃப்ரீ ஆகிடுச்சு அப்படின்னாரு. அப்புறம் தான் அவர் சொன்னார், நீங்கள் கொடுத்த மருந்து வந்து வயிறை மட்டும் க்ளீன் பண்ணல, என் மைண்டில் ஏதோ ஒரு அன்னோன் ஸ்ட்ரெஸ் வந்துருக்கு, அதுவும் கிளியர் ஆகிடுச்சு, ஐ எம் வெரி ஹாப்பி அப்படின்னார். ஸோ தட் இஸ் த வேல்யூ ஆஃப் இந்தியன் மெடிசன். ஏன்னா இப்போ நீங்கள் வெஸ்டர்ன் மெடிசனில் வந்து நீங்கள் பார்ப்பீங்க வந்து ஐ டோன்ட் ஃபீல் குட், ஃபீலிங்ஸ் அவ்வளோதான். ஒன்று வந்து ஃபிசிக்கலாக ஐ எம் நாட் வெல், ஐ எம் சஃபரிங் ஃப்ரம் ஃபீவர், இது ஒரு கான்செப்ட்டு. அது கொஞ்சம் நீங்கள் உள்ளே போனீங்கன்னா ஐ எம் நாட் ஃபீலிங் வெல் அப்படிங்கிறது மனசு சரியில்லைன்னு சொல்லலாம், இல்லை உடம்பு சரியில்லைன்னு சொல்லலாம். ஆனால் நம்ம இந்தியன் டெக்ஸ்ட் இட் கோஸ் பிஹைண்ட் தட். ஸோ ஃபீல் வேறு, அதுக்கப்புறம் என்னோடய உணர்ச்சிகள் வந்து ரொம்ப அப்நார்மலாக இருக்குது, அது கீழே உணர்வு அப்படியே லேசாக மனதில் அப்படியே லைட்டாக எழும். பார்த்தீங்களா, ஒரு அழகான பெண்ணை பார்க்கும்போது, அழகான ஆணை பார்க்கும்போது ஒரு காதல் லேசாக உதயமாகும்ல, நல்ல சாப்பாடை பார்க்கும்போது சாப்பிட்லான்னு லேசாக தோணும்ல, ஒரு நல்ல ரோஜா பூ பார்க்கும்போது அப்படியே ஸ்மெல் லேசாக வரும்ல, அந்த பேஸ்லேருந்து லேசாக எழும்ல, அந்த உணர்வுக்கு நம்ம மருந்து கொடுக்குறோம். ஸோ அந்த உணர்வை நம்ம கரெக்ட் பண்ணுறோம். ஸோ அந்தளவுக்கு நம்ம மெடிசன் வந்து ரொம்ப பிரமாதமாக போயிருக்கு. ஸோ அந்தளவுக்கு வந்து தட் இஸ் வை வி யூஷுவலி சே தட் இந்தியன் மெடிசன் வந்து டிசீஸை மட்டும் கரெக்ட் பண்ணுறதில்ல, அது பர்சனாலிட்டியும் கரெக்ட் பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. ஸோ அந்த வகையில் வந்து ரொம்ப கிராண்டாக அந்த ஃபங்க்ஷன் ஆர்கனைஸ் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க. இதை நம்ம நல்லா யூட்டிலைஸ் பண்ணிக்கணும். The people who come from different places in our country and also the world, இதை நல்லா புரிஞ்சுக்கணும். They should visit all the stalls. They should understand Indian medicine. அதையும் பார்த்துக்கணும். அப்புறம் யோகா பற்றி ஒரு சின்ன ஒரு 2 minutes நான் அதை பற்றி சொல்லலான்னு பார்க்குறேன். பிகாஸ் ஐ எம் ஆல்சோ யோகா ப்ராக்டிஷனர் சின்ஸ் 10 years. ஐ ஹவ் பாஸ்ட் அவுட் சம் எக்ஸாம்ஸ் ஆல்சோ இன் யோகா. ஸோ யோகா வந்து கண்டிப்பாக பண்ணுங்க. ஸோ யோகா வந்து இன்றைக்கி இருக்கிற காலத்தில் நீங்கள் உடலை ஆரோக்கியமாக வச்சுக்கணும் அப்படின்னா யோகா தான் பெஸ்ட்டு. இப்போ மற்ற கண்ட்ரியில் வந்து ரொம்ப குளிர் காலத்தில் வேணால் உங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப எக்ஸசைஸு, புஷ்அப்ஸு, தண்டால், அப்புறம் நிறையா அது மாதிரி தேவைப்படும். ஸோ நம்ம கண்ட்ரியை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும், இந்த மாதிரி ஹாட்டாக இருக்கிற கண்ட்ரியை பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் யோகா வந்து உங்களுக்கு ரொம்ப ரொம்ப இம்பார்ட்டண்ட்டு. நீங்கள் யோகா பண்ணால் மட்டும்தான் நீங்கள் 70-80 வயசுல நீங்கள் ஸ்ட்ரைட்டாக நிற்க முடியும், நடக்க முடியும். உங்களுடைய மெமரி பவர் உங்களை நிற்கும். அதே மாதிரி வந்து உங்களுடைய டைஜஸ்டிவ் ட்ராக், நம்ம உடம்புல இருக்கக்கூடிய 5 மேஜர் சிஸ்டம்ஸ் எல்லாமே இன்டாக்டாக இருக்கும். ஸோ உங்களுடைய கான்சன்ட்ரேஷன் வந்து கூடும். அதில் ஆசனா மட்டும் நீங்கள் எப்பயும் பிரத்யாகாரம் பண்ணணும். உங்களுக்கு வந்து இயமம் பற்றி தெரியும், நியமம் பற்றி தெரியும். அதுக்கப்புறம் ஆசனா பற்றி நிறைய படிச்சிருப்பீங்க. அதுக்கு மேலே பிராணாயாமம் பற்றி படிச்சிருப்பீங்க. இப்போ இந்த ஸ்டேஜில் நாம் வந்து ஆசனாவிலிருந்து நம்ம அடுத்த ஸ்டேஜ் பிராணாயாமம் முடிச்சுட்டு we should try to practice Pratyahara. ஸோ Pratyahara நம்ம மெயினாக என்ன பண்ணுறோம் அப்படின்னா, நம்ம பர்சனாலிட்டி ஹேஸ் ஆல்ரெடி பீன் மேனிஃபெஸ்டட் இன் வேரியஸ் டைமென்ஷன். அதனால் நமக்கு அட்ராக்ஷன்ஸ் ரொம்ப அதிகமாக இருக்கும். அட்ராக்ஷன்ஸ் டுவர்ட்ஸ் குட் திங்ஸ்னால் ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை இல்லை. ஸோ அட்ராக்ஷன் டுவர்ட்ஸ் ஒரு வாழைப்பழம், ஒரு கர்ட் ரைஸு, ஒரு நல்ல மல்டி பேலன்ஸ்டு டயட்டு அப்படின்னா ஒன்றும் பிரச்சனை இல்லை. ஸோ நம்ம உடலுக்கும் மனதுக்கும் கெடுதி விளைக்கக்கூடிய விஷயங்களை மனதை அட்ராக்ட் ஆகுது பிகாஸ் ஆஃப் பழக்க வழக்கங்கள் அப்படின்னா, கைண்ட்லி ப்ராக்டிஸ் பிரத்யாகாரா. அதாவது 5 புலன்கள் அதன் வழியாக போய் தன்னுடைய வேலைகளை செய்யாமல், உணர்வுகளை தூண்டாமல், அறிவுக்கு முதலிடம் கொடுத்து புலன்கள் அறிவின்பால் செலுத்துவதே பிரத்யாகாரம். ஸோ அதை நீங்கள் வந்து பண்ணணும், ஒவ்வொரு டைம் பண்ணணும். நைட்டு படுக்கும்போது நீங்கள் யோசித்து பார்க்கணும், நம்ம இன்றைக்கி என்னத்தெல்லாம் தப்பு பண்ணோம், ரைட் பண்ணோம் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. ஸோ நம்ம எல்லாம் பார்க்குற விஷயங்கள் பார்த்தா எனக்கு அட்ராக்டிவாக இருக்குது, உடனே போய் கற்றுக்குறேங்கிறீங்க. ஸோ அதுலேருந்து நீங்கள் வந்து கண்ட்ரோல் ஆகிட்டீங்க. ஸோ நெக்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டேஜ் கம்ஸ் தாரணா. ஸோ தாரணான்னா என்னன்னா, நோ ஐ எம் நாட் டூயிங் எனி பேட் திங்ஸ், ஐ எம் நாட் லுக்கிங் எனி பேட் திங்ஸ், ஐ எம் கெட் அவே, ஐ ஆல்வேஸ் கெட் அவே ஃப்ரம் ஆல். இருந்தால் கூட நம்ம மனதில் ஏற்கனவே பதிவாகியிருக்கும் சில விஷயங்கள். உதாரணமாக ஒருத்தர் வந்து தியானம் பண்ணுறதுக்கு போகிறான். ஸோ தியானம் பண்ண போகும்போது சொல்கிறான், நான் அன்றைக்கி வந்து எதுவுமே நான் பார்க்கக்கூடாது, எதுவுமே கேட்கக்கூடாது, பிகாஸ் நான் பார்க்கறது, பேசுறது, கேட்குறது, ஸ்மெல் பண்ணுறது எல்லாமே ஒஸ்ட்டாக இருக்குது. ஆனால் ஐ வாண்டட் டு க்ளோஸ் எவ்ரிதிங்னு சொல்லிட்டு ஃபஸ்ட்டாக போய் தியானத்தில் உட்காந்து தன் கண்ணை கட்டி உட்காந்துக்கிறான், நான் யாருமே பார்க்கக்கூடாது அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு. ஸோ கண்ணை ஒரு அழகான ஒரு பெண் அந்த பக்கம் போகுதுன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, இல்லை ஆண் பெண்ணாக இருந்தால் ஒரு அழகான ஆண் அந்த பக்கம் போகிறோன்னு வச்சுக்கோங்க, நீங்கள் அதை பார்த்துட்டே இருப்பீங்க. ஸோ அதனால் நான் கண்ணை கட்டிக்கிறேன் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு கண்ணை கட்டி தியானம் பண்ணுறான். ஆனால் அந்த பெண் நடந்து போகும்போது அவருடைய சலங்கை ஒளி அவன் காதில் கேட்குது. ஸோ he is not able to concentrate. ஸோ அந்த நெக்ஸ்ட் டே வாட் he does, உடனே காதை கட்டிக்கிறான், கண்ணையும் கட்டிக்கிறான், காதும் கட்டிக்கிறான். லெட் மீ சி, ஐ ஷுட் நாட் ஹியர் எனி சவுண்ட் அப்படின்னு சொல்லி. ஸோ கண்ணும் வரல, காதும் வரல. ஆனால் அந்த நேரத்தில் வந்து மூக்கில் ஸ்மெல் மட்டும் வருது. அந்த அழகான பெண் மல்லிப்பூ வச்சுட்டு அப்படியே நடந்து போயிட்டுருக்காங்க. அப்போ உடனே அந்த பொண்ணு மேலே ஞாபகம் வருது இவனுக்கு. ஸோ மறுநாள் என்ன பண்ணுறான், கண்ணு மூடிக்கிறான், காதும் மூடிக்கிறான், மூக்கு டைட்டாக மனசில் உட்காந்துருக்கிறான். எல்லாம் மூடனா கூட அவன் மனசு மட்டும் நினைக்குது, மணி 10 மணி ஆச்சு, why that girl has not crossed அப்படின்னு நினைக்கிறான். அப்போ மனசு எப்படி மூட முடியும்? அந்த மனசை மூடுவதற்கு தான் தாரணா. ஸோ ஏற்கனவே மனதில் பதிந்துள்ள எண்ணங்களை கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமாக, அந்த அழுக்கை, அந்த கசிவை, அந்த கசடை நம்ம தியானத்தின் மூலமாக, நற்பண்புகளின் மூலமாக அதை கொஞ்சம் கொஞ்சமாக எராடிகேட் பண்ணுறது தான் தாரணா. ஸோ அதை 3 நீங்கள் பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா ஆட்டோமேட்டிக்காக நமக்கு நெக்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டேஜ் தியானம், சமாதி உங்களுக்கு கை கூடும். தென் யூ வில் பிகம் ஏ டோட்டல் பிளிஸ்ஃபுல் பர்சனாலிட்டியாக நீங்கள் மாறிடுவீங்க. அது கண்டிப்பாக மாறி தான் ஆகணும். ஸோ யோகிக் சயின்ஸ் இஸ் நாட் ஏ சம்திங் ஆர்ட்ஸ், இட் இஸ் எ சயின்ஸ். 4 to 4 = 8 அப்படிங்கிற மாதிரி நீங்கள் இந்த மாதிரி ஆக்டிவிட்டி நீங்கள் பண்ணிங்கன்னா கண்டிப்பாக அஷ்டாங்க யோகத்தில் வர 8 ஸ்டெப்ஸ் நீங்கள் கரெக்டாக பண்ணிங்கன்னா டெஃபினட்டாக உங்களுக்கு ஃபெயிலே இருக்காது. நீங்கள் கண்டிப்பாக நீங்கள் அடையலாம். இது ஒரு நல்ல ஆப்பர்ச்சுனிட்டி. எல்லாம் வந்திருக்கீங்க. ஐ ரெக்வஸ்ட் எவ்ரி ஒன் ஆஃப் யூ டு கோ த்ரூ தி what is called the text given in the conference, visit all the stores and listen to the great speakers, like great doctors and everybody, and take home the very good message. கற்க கற்றபின் நிற்க அதற்கு தக. அது ரொம்ப முக்கியம் நமக்கு. ஸோ நம்ம எல்லாத்தையும் கேட்டுட்டு வீட்டுக்கு போயிட்டு நேர்மாறாக பண்ணுறதுல பிரயோஜனம் இல்லை. ஸோ கற்க கற்றபின் அதற்கு தக, கற்றபின் அதற்கு தக இல்லை, நோ பாயிண்ட் இன் கற்க. ஆனால் இது ஒரு வெரி குட் கான்ஃபரன்ஸ், இதை நம்ம நல்லா கற்றுக்கணும். ஸோ இங்கே வரவங்க எல்லாமே வந்து எந்த விதமான நோய் இல்லாமல், மனநோய் இல்லாமல் காப்பாற்றணும். அதுக்கு எல்லாத்துக்கும் நமக்கு முன்னின்று நமக்கு அருள் பாலிக்கூடிய இறைவனை நம்ம வணங்கி, ஸோ நமக்கு மனதில் இருக்கின்ற அஸ்மின் பராத்மன் அனுபாத்மகல்பே தும்மித்த முத்தா மித பத்மயோனி அனந்த பூமா மமரோகராசிம் நிருந்திவாதா லயவாச விஷ்ணு லயவாச விஷ்ணு லயவாச விஷ்ணு. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you for sharing your valuable insights, sir. Your presence has indeed made this morning very special. May I now request our dignitaries, Dr. Sri Verma, Dr. Veronique Nicolai ma'am, and Dr. Shivakumar sir, to felicitate our chief guest and present a memento as a small token of our gratitude for sir's valuable time and presence. I sincerely thank all the dignitaries on the stage for their time.
Without further ado, let us begin with our first scientific session. Allow me to present a brief vignette of our speaker. Dr. Subarna Roy is the Director and Scientist G at ICMR, National Institute of Traditional Medicine, Belagvi, a microbiologist with over 14 years of ICMR experience and holds an MSc Gold Medal and PhD in microbial genetics. He has made a major contribution in infectious disease research, including outbreak investigation and the first identification in India of human paracovirus and sallivirus causing childhood diarrhea. Under his leadership, NITM focuses on scientific validation of traditional medicine, lifestyle and geriatric diseases, and medicinal plants. We now request our Dr. Subarna Roy to take over the session.
Vanakkam, Namaskar, and a very good morning to all of you. Respected dignitaries on the dais, off the dais, distinguished speakers, participants, friends. Today I have been asked to speak on originally pharmacognosy, pharmacology, drug development from Ayush herbs. What I have done is that I will be basically talking about these aspects through the research in traditional medicines that our institute has done, because I would like to give you examples of what has happened with us, what has been the challenges and how we have overcome it so far and what we are doing. So that will help you in doing your research in whatever way that you are contributing, be it in your clinics, be it in your teaching hospitals, be it in your academics, whatever it is. So, as you all know, ICMR has been at the forefront of research in India. As far as medical sciences are concerned, it is more than a 114-year-old institution. And it runs its research through various institutes across the country. Some are disease-specific, just like we have the National Institute for Research in Tuberculosis here in Chetpet, which is for tuberculosis. We have one for epidemiology in Ayapakam. The National Institute of Virology is for viral diseases in Pune. Like that, we have several institutes across the country, and we have certain institutes which are more of delivery research institutes, like the regional medical research institutes in Bhubaneswar, in Dibrugarh, in Port Blair, in Jodhpur, Jabalpur, and even Belgaum was one of such institutes until 2017, when we became the National Institute for Research in Traditional Medicines. Now, we carry out research in traditional medicine, means we do take Ayush as well as we take non-Ayush research as well. As you can see in this picture, traditional medicine comprises of also the non-codified systems, which also include the folk practices, the tribal healing practices, the dadi maa ke nuske kind of thing that we do at home, the home remedies. And we try to take the best of those of modern medicine and the traditional medicine, including Ayush and non-Ayush together for public health outcomes, and try to integrate, basically getting the best of both the worlds together for benefit of the people. So therefore, our institute works in two basic domains. One is traditional medicine and integrative health, and the other is, like any other ICMR institutes, national diseases of national importance, diseases of regional health importance. I bring to you greetings from my institute in Belgaum, located at the junction of Maharashtra, Karnataka, and Goa. Our vision is to influence public health outcomes through the integration of traditional medicines with modern medicine, the allopathy systems. And we do it in three major missions. One is the research, other is human resource development, and third is outreach. In research, we carry out, as I said, like any other ICMR institute, research on the national health problems. And in traditional medicine, we try to develop evidence-based, affordable traditional medicine solutions for public health concerns. And we also develop a cadre of integrative healthcare researchers and professionals, and also program and content for the application of this validated traditional knowledge for integrative health. And we generally take this out as scalable and sustainable technologies and practices in the community through partnerships with various government organizations, non-government organizations, and partners. And we also facilitate policy development. Now, this is the validation cycle that we do for traditional medicines. We follow the reverse pharmacology approach, which was given to the world by the Vaidyas, Dr. Ashok and Rama Vaidya from Mumbai. And what we do is that we start with a situation analysis of any drug disease pair that is already there in practice. It can be from the Ayush systems, where you have various solutions for certain diseases and conditions written in your text and you are practicing. But most of the time what happens, some of these, as I said, the non-codified practitioners, they will not have anything which is written down. Their knowledge is handed over from generation to generation, mostly by oral traditions, and they practice. And they practice sometimes specified for a certain condition or a certain disease, and they have only that specialty. And sometimes they'll be treating multiple conditions. So what we do is that our team comprising of ethnobotanists, comprising of community medicine people, comprising of social scientists, they visit these practitioners in the field where they are actually practicing, and then they do a verbal autopsy. They do through questionnaires, they try to document what are the plants that they are using for what kind of conditions. And then we also interview the patients. Who are the patients who are coming? Why they are coming? Whether they have come after they have exhausted modern medicine, or they are coming first to him, and what is the outcome that they feel, whether they are feeling that they are benefited or not. So those are the things that we do. Here there is no intervention. We simply do a very passive documentation of what is happening in the field. Similarly, we interview the practitioner. Those who are willing to share the formulations or their medicines with us, show us the plants which they are using, that only we take forward, because there is a need to have authenticated data on that actual plant which is being used in the treatment. Now here it is very important, because as you all know, that these are the people who will not tell, say for example, somebody is treating joint pain, he will not say he is treating arthritis. He will tell he is treating joint pain. Now it is up to us to understand what kind of joint pain it is. Is it arthritis? Is it osteoarthritis, or is it rheumatoid arthritis? So these are the conditions that we generally use our scientific acumen to understand what are the conditions in which they are using, and then we take it into the laboratory. Then we do extensive studies on the pharmacognosy, identification of the plant, their characters. We do a complete workout with their composition. Very important is to have vouchering of the samples done with an authentic voucher specimen number submitted somewhere, be it BSI or some institution. Even our institution does the vouchering and herbarium services. So we have accession numbers of those plants, so that you can go back to that particular plant which you have started working from. Then we do the complete biochemical, biological properties of those plants. We do a complete phytochemistry of those plants. Those of you who are actually working with medicinal plants, you know there are seasonal variations. There are variations from where they are harvested. With the age of the plant, things do vary. So we try to document that. And then we do, as a rule of thumb, a toxicity study. We test these formulations in rodents to see their therapeutic window, as well as if there is any safety or toxicity issues or not. Then we do the laboratory profiling of those. If they are of infectious diseases in nature, then we have the MD in microbiology, so they carry out the infectious diseases workout. We do a lot of bioinformatics these days, because a lot of computational tools are available with us. Computational power has increased, lot of databases are available. So we retrieve the information of the phytoconstituents that are available for those plants from those databases, and try to do in silico studies and understand how and why these phytoconstituents are actually affecting different pathways. And that helps us design the in vitro studies. So the in vitro assays are actually made based on the bioinformatics studies that we do in computers. And then we do this molecular biological studies. It is not very easy to establish a single mode of action of traditional medicines, mostly the botanicals. But then whatever is possible, whatever we can design studies on, we generally do that. And then sometimes we do biotechnological studies. Sometimes the active ingredients are known. In that case, if we need to increase the production, we may do tissue culture to actually have enhanced production of those bioactive principles. Sometimes certain plants do not grow well in nature. So to grow them for even scientific research, we need to grow them in tissue culture. So those are things that are done in biotechnology. Then we do the efficacy studies in animals. So the preclinical studies all are done by our veterinarians, our MPharm, PhD in pharmacology. We have those people who do those studies. And then once the preclinical studies are done and we have good leads there, we take them onto the field again. So either in hospital settings or in the community, we carry out studies, mostly randomized controlled trials, and some are maybe comparison studies. So we carry out depending on what kind of solution we are testing and what kind of diseases we design those studies, and then we carry out this. So we have specialized people for that. We have including biostatistics people who are good in research designs. So we do that. So that completes the validation cycle. What you may have noticed is that since we are an ICMR institute, we are mostly people of the modern medicine background. We have people from social science, we have people from biostatistics, we have people from community medicine, microbiology, biotechnology, molecular biology. We have a lot of basic scientists. We have veterinarians, but we don't have as permanent people from the Ayush background. So the government of Karnataka, Department of Ayush has actually given us a domain specialist, Ayush doctor, who actually is part of our team who does these studies. We also have a Ayurveda clinic in our institute, which actually is like a kitchen garden where we do small studies as well on understanding the safety or understanding the efficacy of certain formulations. The National Institute of Siddha, also has provided us with a domain specialist in Siddha. So, so she is also there. So we have Siddha and Ayurveda specialists. We have a Siddha clinic as well in Belgaum. So we do some kind of integrative health studies in our institute as well, although in a very small scale. Now these are our institutes and the various laboratories that I talked about. So, but these are all mostly the basic sciences. We do most of our clinical trials and all in field in collaborative mode. We also have a herbal garden of these medicinal plants, mostly from the Western Ghats. We have a museum of the crude drug samples as well as the herbaria that I talked about, which are submitted as voucher specimens. We have a zebrafish model to test mostly the toxicities and then some of the efficacy studies in zebrafish, which is much easier to do before taking into the larger animals or rodents. We also have established a C. elegans research facility for testing of herbals. This is the small clinic that I said we have on integrative health, where we have the Ayurveda and Siddha clinics, OPDs. We have a model rural health research unit. It is adjoining the state of Hyderabad, state of Andhra Pradesh, where this is dedicated for rural health research. And most of the community studies that we do, the trials and all, are done here. It is an aspirational district of Karnataka, so we do many of the studies in that district. So basically what we all know is that our load on the healthcare system is huge. The primary, secondary and tertiary care, the three-tier health system, most people go in Brownian movements. So we, sometimes affluent people will go with the smallest of problems to a tertiary care center, whereas a poor person with major problem cannot afford to go to a tertiary care center. He will come to a PHC or a CHC, something like that. So basically what we are trying to do is that through validation of some of the traditional medicines that we have, we are trying to generate a fourth tier, a pre-primary tier, where people do not fall ill in the first place. The wellness clinics, the Arogya mandirs that are being established, and even if some kind of symptoms come and all, we are able to tackle it at the pre-primary level itself. This is an important concept diagram on alternative, complementary and integrative health. We sometimes use them as synonyms, but that is not the case. Alternative when is you are using something, say you are using a particular Ayurveda drug instead of a allopathy drug, or a homeopathy instead of a Ayurveda. So it is a alternative. But once you are using two of them together for the same condition, knowing very well what you are doing, then that is complementary. So sometimes there may be side effect of a modern medicine which you are trying to address with a Ayurveda formulation. So that becomes complementary. And integrative is when it is like a medical board. You have two doctors, minimum two, one from say allopathy, one from Ayurveda. They consult with the patient, and for the patient, whichever is beneficial, they will have a discussion and accordingly they will give their drugs. So keeping the patient informed with the best interest of the patient they will be selecting that. So that is what is integrative health. And that is where India is actually looking for in the next few years until 2047. So integrative health is all about that. So basically that is where the leads or the very well established leads from the traditional medicine sides, including the Ayush, is actually going to be integrated into the health system itself in the modern medicine setting, or a combined or a integrative setting, whatever you call it. So basically our institute is acting as a small bridge between modern healthcare and Ayush, between Ayush and folk medicine. So we are like adapters. We are people connecting together. We all know what traditional medicines have contributed to the modern drug system, the contemporary system, or allopathy, whatever you call it. But once we talk about a particular molecule, then it does not remain a traditional medicine. It becomes a modern drug discovery. But many of the modern drugs are actually originated from the Ayush systems. And we all know that it is more than 80%, sometimes it is 90% or even more, use of traditional medicines that happen in communities. We as individuals, as patients, do take a lot of traditional medicines, irrespective of where we are in India or abroad. Problems. The biggest challenge we have is the fight between the conventional medicine people and the traditional medicine people. So that is the biggest challenge what we find. I am a basic scientist, so I am equally distant from a modern medicine practitioner and a Ayush practitioner. So I am quite acceptable to both of them. But sometimes if my colleague who is a modern medicine person may not be very well accepted by a traditional medicine practitioner, or if somebody is a traditional medicine practitioner, they may not be very well accepted. So even organizing symposium, conferences where we get both of them together becomes challenging, and to get them on the same page. You forget about actually giving treatments about it. But yes, there are people like you all, there are people who are actually engaging and they are getting convinced in traditional medicine. And traditional medicine is also like religion. What I find is that it sometimes divides society between two sides, either you are in this or in that. You know what has happened with the JIPMER courses, and also so much of hue and cry. There have been so many other occasions where there has been a lot of hue and cry. But then again, like religion again, the more we grow old, even I have seen very hardcore allopathy practitioners, as they have aged, they have actually adopted traditional medicines, and then they have been prescribing or suggesting some of the traditional medicines for their patients. So that is how with age, some kind of wisdom also comes perhaps. But that is what happens in practice. The second problem is with the classical drug discovery pathway. As I said, that I have been asked to talk about the drug discovery from traditional medicines, but then in that case it becomes modern medicine. But the problem is that we start with tens of thousands of molecules and ultimately end up with one approved drug after 15 years with expenditure of a huge amount of money. So drug discovery is not that easy. So it is extremely tedious, costly, and a very difficult affair. So that is why this reverse pharmacology, which I talked about, comes into play. The ethnographic design, basically they are all kind of the same thing. The black box design, where you talk about the holistic condition of the patients itself. And then there is a new thing in 2015, the Phytopharmaceutical Act, through which again there is new method of drug discovery that has been available to us. So reverse pharmacology, as I said, it is something which is already in practice, be it in your Ayush systems or maybe some non-codified practitioner practicing it in their village or in their community or in their tribal hamlets. So you generate the evidence, go back. Try to generate the evidence in terms of what the present day science will accept, and then generate the proof of concept, and then do clinical trials, and then show that it works. So that is one better approach. Chances of success is much better, and that is exactly what we are doing. So I talked about difficulty of generation of evidence, lack of suitable models and tools to validate. One of the biggest problems, most of you are in Ayurveda, you will understand the models and tools that we have in conventional medicine or modern medicine today, they are very good, but are not always appropriate to actually measure the outcomes that traditional medicine people practice. Simply not having a tool to prove that this is not working does not mean that the drug is not working. It is quite possible that we simply don't have the tools to measure it. So always try to understand it is not only doing the research, also developing of new tools, new methods, new approaches to validating traditional medicine is also very, very important. So in your practice and all, if you come across certain things where you can think certain methods will be better than the existing, that is most welcome. Standards with problems with standards and quality, I will come to it again later with herbal medicines. Variability in bioactive constituents, which very often changes. Again, no established protocol and guideline. Legal ethical issues. I'm coming to each one of them with examples. Difficulty in generation of evidence and validation. As I said, that most of the time doing a randomized control trial, which is regarded as the topmost evidence in modern medicine, is not appropriate, because you simply cannot have placebos for Ayurveda practices, or even any traditional medicine for that matter. The non-drug interventions, even the meditation, yoga, the tools are not exactly appropriate to measure them. So these are difficulties that we have. We sometimes have to take the whole patient, how he feels or how she feels before and after treatment. So those are kind of things that we need to consider. So black box design actually says about that. You don't measure only one or two parameters like what we do in modern medicine, but take the perceptions of the patient and the doctor as well to assess what intervention has done. Another problem that comes with adverse drug reactions. When we do any clinical trials, say with a modern medicine, say you have a drug for, say arthritis. So you are giving that drug, and then suddenly the patient complains of repeated GI disorders, vomiting and all. Now, if similar kind of thing is given by the traditional healer, and this patient goes and tells to him, I'm having this kind of thing, he will be very happy. He will say, Acha, ye ho raha hai, that means it is working. The concept itself is very different. So do you report this as an adverse drug reaction? Perhaps not. You are soliciting it. You want those kind of things to happen sometimes. And again, those kind of symptoms may vary with the Vata, Pitta, Kapha, whatever, with the constitution of the person that you are giving. So those are challenges that you have. One of the problem with the botanicals, with herbs, is the quality and standards I talked about. One example I'm giving you with this Saraka Ashoka. Saraka Ashoka is used for almost all kinds of gynecological disorders, a very well accepted traditional medicine across the country. In my part, I belong to West Bengal. In East and Northeast, there is a Shashti, Ashok Shashti it is called. I think in February, March only it comes, where all the women have to take that Ashok flower, and also those are customs which are very deeply embedded in rituals. Now, this plant, the bark is used mostly for treatment. We had collected samples from 5 states, Karnataka, Maharashtra, Tamilnadu, Goa, and Kerala. A few samples, one of my PhD students did, none of them contained actual Saraka Ashoka. It is, the raw drug that you are getting in your pharmacies and all is highly doubtful how much Saraka Ashoka they contain. And you will also know the Polyalthia longifolia, it must be here somewhere. You find them everywhere as ornamental trees. That is also called Ashoka. And many of these suppliers actually mix it with this false Ashoka, with polyalthia, and they claim it to be Ashoka. Yes, it is Ashoka, but it is not the Saraka Ashoka that you want. Similarly, Bala is used by Ayurveda people for many kind of conditions. Your text will talk about Bala, you know it is Saida, but it does not tell about which species it is. There are 5 species of Saida. Which one of them to take? So these are research questions that we have. So this is one of the technique that one of my PhD students used. Actually, he designed this technique. It is a PCR based, a high resolution PCR, a HRM PCR it is called, to detect the actual presence of Saraka Ashoka from crude drug samples. But then it is like a real-time PCR, so you have to do just like what we used to do for COVID. It requires a very highly sophisticated lab that cannot be done on ground. So opportunities are there if we are able to translate this kind of thing into some kind of dipstick kind of approach where we actually dip it in the crude drug sample and know whether it is present or not. So, or to what extent these things are present. So this is one example I gave with Saraka Ashoka, but these are all opportunities that we must try to utilize and see that our standards are maintained. Because if it doesn't work, then actually it brings bad name for our own systems of medicine, but which is actually because of not having the active principles. So that is what things happen. Another example is Gymnema sylvestri, Madhunashini, Gurmar. It is invariably present in most of the anti-diabetic formulations that you will find in the market. Now, this plant grows in the Western Ghats and in Eastern Himalayas. Very well known plant. And here the active principles are not known. Like in Saraka Ashoka, here active principles are known. In Saraka Ashoka, the active principles are not known. But here it is gymnemagenin and gymnemic acid. These are the 2 active principles. And what we did in one season, we collected 117 samples from different parts of Western Ghats and Eastern Himalayas, and we found 35 times variation in gymnemic acid and gymnemagenin. Then do we expect that we will have the same efficacy when you are giving it to the patients? That cannot happen. So therefore, you have to understand the batch-to-batch variations that may happen, where we are getting it from, how it is. So what we have done is that we have developed an elite clone, again by tissue culture, which actually gives the maximum yield of the gymnemagenin and gymnemic acid. But then our herbal drug industry is still not as mature to actually take it and grow them either in tissue culture or in fields. It has started to happen, but it is still not that mature that we use this as of now. Clinical trials in Ayush had been minuscule until lately. From COVID onwards, clinical trials has increased in Ayush. I don't have the latest figures after 2022 because of COVID. There was a lack of data, but the clinical trials have increased in Ayush, which is a very welcome sign. But then problem comes is that when we take regulated trials in allopathy, in modern medicine, it is guided by the NDCT rules of 2019. It is regulated by CDSCO, DCGI permission is required. When an investigator is doing it, you will follow the ICMR ethical guidelines and a DCGI permission is not required. But in Ayush, we don't have anything. So there is no regulation at all. So it is basically left to the ethics committees, and the, again, quality of ethics committees also differ from institute to institute. So these are problems that we have which we need to address. Then there are safety issues also from traditional medicine. It's not that everything is safe. We have a therapeutic window. So you just can't take something which is beyond that. And sometimes people do take that, they think everything naturally is fine, and then they will sometimes die or have some side effects, and it will come in papers, and again it will actually malign our systems of medicine. One of the papers that even our institute published very recently, I think a couple of months back. So it is on VG-base, the safety data on VG-base. So basically we have to make people understand that you have to even consult physicians to actually take traditional medicines as well. You just can't just take it whatever you want. Another important thing is that now we are talking about integrative health. I told you in the very beginning, we are trying to generate the evidence to put things together for integrating modern medicine with traditional medicine. What about herb-drug interactions? These are very important things that are going to come. If I am diabetic, I am on metformin, somebody will tell me, methi ko bhiga ke uska pani piyo, somebody will tell, ye gudmal lo. Whatever they say, we will take and then we will consume. But do you know what herb-drug interaction is happening? There are cases, reported cases in literature, where actually both of them have worked in synergy and they have become hypoglycemic and they have got shock. Similarly, sometimes it can be anti also. So these are things that needs to be reported. We have done a study with 3 conditions: diabetes, arthritis, and GI disorders. And we have made a database where the known drugs and both known traditional medicines and the allopathic medicines, where there are interactions, we have noted it down. Some are synergistic, some are antagonistic. So you have to keep that gap between the doses, and you have to make both the doctors understand that you are taking the other as well. So those are things that are required. What we have done is that we have gone a step ahead, and we have done a lot of bioinformatics studies to understand what are the likely herb-drug interactions that can happen if we take a set of very well-known traditional medicines from the Ayush systems and from the modern medicine, and then that did in silico docking studies and all, and what we have found is again listed in that database. Unfortunately, this is not yet in public domain because both the secretaries, my own secretary and the secretary Ayush, are not very comfortable in bringing this into public domain at this stage. But it is only a matter of time. These are things which are going to come in the very near future. Then there are other issues like we have depleting natural resources, harvesting from the wild, leading to loss of habitat for the plants, problem with misidentification, substitution, adulteration in crude drugs, microbial contamination and shelf life. That is one of the biggest challenges that we have in the industry. Then there are other common issues also, that we don't have a lot of authentic data source for actually getting information on these medicinal plants. You do a search on Google on any medicinal plants, it will say it will have all kinds of activities. That does not happen. So that is mostly because Google will source from all these publications, even small publications, all in Raddi journals, and then they will take. Now, which one do you believe? If you are a researcher, you want to actually know what actually benefits, your review in Google or all the AI tools that you have will not give you the right results, because the quality of evidence is so poor, the publications have been so poor. Sometimes some are duplicated work, some are using wrong methodology, some do not have translational positioning. Once we start working with a certain plant, we don't know what we are going to do. So whether we are going to go by the Ayush pathway, making a proprietary Ayurveda drug, or we are going to take the phytopharmaceutical pathway where we are going to show four phytoconstituents which are responsible for some of the activities, or we are going to discover one molecule which will go in the modern drug discovery method. So you have to choose from either of these pipelines. So that we don't know at the very beginning. हम लोग शुरू तो कुछ कर देते हैं, we publish also and then we end with the publication. But if we have to take them forward for use, we need to think about that at the very beginning. I will skip this. There are so many databases on medicinal plants and their related chemical constituents that are available. In India, you know, TKDL is the one that has actually saved our IPs against biopiracy of our traditional knowledge. And similarly, we have one called NITM medplantsdatabase.in, where we have more than 500 plants which are used in non-codified practices. It is in public domain. So you can do a Google and see. You can get according to plants, or you can get according to diseases. So that can be a good starting material for any research. Then publications also, most people are publishing in very bad journals. I just talked about them, and then mostly because of the pressure that the faculty and the students are given. You have to publish 2 papers, then only you can do PhD. You have to do this, then you get promotion. You have to get this many papers. So that is forcing people to apply to publish in journals which are easy and quick, and that is where the problem lies. As it is said here, in the conflict of interest, somebody has written that the senior author's promotion and the first author's job depend on the publication of this study. This is a picture of the publications from Scopus. If the x-axis is the H index, which is the quality, again, the number of citations that a particular paper gets on the y-axis, then whatever is on the corner on the right top, that will be the highest. You see medicine, which is in yellow, it is of much higher quality than in the complementary and alternative medicine. So once people are judging scientists, people are judging faculty, you cannot have the same parameters to judge. We don't have the right journals, right impact factor. We don't have a Lancet to publish outcomes of traditional medicine research perhaps. It may happen in future, but we simply don't have those many journals, those good journals here. So that is again another problem. So what we generally do, duplication of work is like what what Newton did when he sat under the tree, saw the apple fall, and he discovered gravity. It was a very high impact publication. And what we do is that we sit under the orange tree and we say, the oranges also follow the law of gravity. And so we also get publication. Yes, you are also right. But then is the impact the same? It is not. But that is the kind of things that we generally do. Wrong methodology I talked about. Don't use old methods. Don't use very simple 1-1 method. You always back it up with a secondary method which actually strengthens your observations. Lack of translational positioning I talked about. I'm not going into detail. And then regulatory ethical issues also, as I said. Yes, I've done. So, yeah, so I basically talked about it when I presented. We have quite a lot of things that needs to be carried out, and we are in the process of addressing those issues that have been identified. I will go just to a few things that we have done. This is the documentation of the practices that I have. I told about the database CD. We have a database of practitioners as well. These are only two things I will show. Some of the clinical trials that we are doing. We have completed that entire validation cycle for one traditional practice on osteoarthritis, where now multiple clinical trial is going on in DY Patil, Mumbai, in Dinananta Mangeshkar Hospital, Pune, and in Jain Medical College, Wardha. We have one on diabetic foot ulcers that is going on in DY Patil, Mumbai, Jain Medical College, Belgaum, and Jain Medical College, Wardha. We have one formulation. This is actually cocoa extract. What we found is that cocoa extract actually reverses the toxic effects of chemotherapy by doxorubicin. So somebody on chemotherapy, we generally advise them to have dark chocolates. So it actually protects the heart, liver, and kidneys. So again, a clinical trial is starting on that very soon. And then there are a number of trials that are going on in anemias. I think our institute is doing some 5-6 trials on mostly Dakshavalaya, Punarnavadi Mandura, and one of the Siddha formulations for management of anemias. I am not going into other further studies. Basically, I wanted to apprise you of the landscape of what is happening. Since I don't have time, there is no point in telling this. These are some of the studies that our institute has done. So some of the examples I had shown. I will end with only one example of the carica papaya for dengue. This is not our work. This work has been done by various people across the country, and we did a meta-analysis done on the clinical trials that have been done on on carica papaya extracts. And what we found is that administration of carica papaya extract actually decreases hospital stay by 2 days and increases platelet count by at least 16,000. This is going to be published very soon. It is not yet published, but there is a very clear-cut evidence of this being good. And the best among the intervention is the tablet having 1,100 mg TDS for 5 days. So that was the best that was found. So basically and this had been our collaborators for 25-26. And thank you. I thank the organizers for giving me this opportunity to come and speak to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for the informative session and for highlighting integration of traditional and modern medical sciences. Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Pallavi Jagtap, our chairperson of the session, and I invite her to offer her expert insights and observations on the topic.
First of all, I congratulate Dr. Subarna Roy for delivering such a mesmerizing lecture. Sir has highlighted the need of integrative research in Ayurveda, and really it is to have the global acceptance to our science. It is a need of time to do the research in integrative aspect, and it will be good for the public domain also. So I once again thanks to the organizing committee also to giving me the opportunity to chair this session. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your expert guidance and perspectives. If anyone from the audience have some queries or questions based on this session, you can ask now.
Thank you, Doctor. One of the wonderful presentation in 30 years of my life. It's an eye-opener. All your efforts on preparing this, all the way coming and presenting this, it's honoring us. Thank you so much.
Sir, thank you for your presentation. I had just one question. You mentioned tissue culture as maybe establishing a standard of what you want, maybe a standard of samples. But do you have any evidence already on what tissue culture does compared to a plant growing in a soil in a particular place? Is that affecting to the potency, or what's the feature of tissue culture, especially for the endangered plants?
Yeah, thank you for this question. This is a very, very relevant thing that you have just pointed out. Yes, tissue culture, while it has got some promise to deliver on the phytoconstituents, maybe enhancing of the phytoconstituents, the technique is used where the plants do not grow well in nature. That is number one. Where if they grow well in nature, it is better to take from the naturally growing plants. Why? Because we know traditional medicines, we may be identifying a couple of bioactive principles there, but there might be certain other phytoconstituents in the normally growing plant which we might be missing out if they don't appear in tissue culture. What we do is that we do a chemoprofile of both the naturally growing and the tissue culture obtained plants and try to see the differences that happens. But then there has been no trials that have been done on the efficacy of these. One comparison, one group with the tissue culture grown plant and the natural plant. Those kind of studies I am not aware of. But yes, once these things mature into that stage, I think these are things which need to be carried out. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. To acknowledge the valuable contribution made during this session, I invite Dr. S. N. Suresh to felicitate Dr. Subarna Roy and present the certificate and mementos.
Thank you, Dr. Maheshwaran IAS. He's a very, very busy personality, but on his busy schedule, he find time for learning yoga and spreading the efficacy of yoga in all the dayas. We are honored by your presence. You are a brother to us. Your support is remarkable, and we will remember you always for your contribution towards yoga. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
With this, our first scientific session comes to an end. On behalf of the organizing committee, we extend our sincere gratitude to all the dignitaries who made this a wonderful event.
Moving on to the next session, which will be an online scientific session, we are pleased to extend a formal invitation to Dr. J.L.N. Shastri as the speaker for the second scientific session. The session will be presided over by Chairperson Dr. Roshni KP. We welcome you to the dais.
What time? 12 o'clock. Get out. Hello. We have our special guest from Ayush Ministry. I wish to invite them to dais. We are honored by your presence. Dr. Veronique Nicoli, please receive them as the bouquet. Move there. Dr. Prashant Tiwari to introduce them to the audience, and please share few words.
Namaskar to all. Today we are having from the Ministry of Ayush our guest, Mr. Shiv Mishra ji. He is Under Secretary and he is here for observation of this whole event. We are pleased to have you, sir. And Pradeep ji is also there. He is going to support for this whole event, and they will observe this whole event. And for the whole to observe this whole event, they came directly from New Delhi. Thank you so much for visiting here, sir, and very pleased to have you. Thank you so much.
We at Heartfulness, we are honored by this event approved by Ayush Ministry. Our beloved Master, Reverend Daji, he conveyed his gratitude to the ministry and his blessings. This is your home. We welcome you many more times to visit this place. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. We will start with the next session. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, you can. I'll put a support system.
Moving on to the next scientific online session. To introduce our speaker, Dr. JLN Shastri. He is a distinguished Ayurvedic physician, researcher, and healthcare leader with over 3 decades of clinical, academic, and administrative experience. He is the managing director and co-founder of Swasti Veda Private Limited, Mumbai, and he is also managing partner of Jatas Ayurveda Healthcare Systems LLP and the chief physician at Ayushman Ayurvedic Center, Kakinada. A former CEO of the National Medicinal Plants Board, Government of India, and the former head of R&D Dabur Limited, Dr. Shastri has made significant contributions to Ayurveda education, drug policy, and integrative healthcare. A recipient of multiple national and international awards, including the Charaka International Award, he continues to actively contribute to research, industry, collaborations, and evidence-based Ayurvedic practice. We now request you to take over the session, sir.
Constraints, what the opportunity, all those things. So, having a journey into this whole gamut for last 3.5 decades, I thought I should rather stimulate the upcoming generation to take up those activities which are much needed for the future. So my topic will be in concurrence with what the organizers wanted. The current trends in the Ayurvedic drug development, with a clarity on whether we have on the innovation path or the imitation path. And before that, before I make my presentation, I wish to sincerely mention. Sorry. So this presentation neither intends to support any entity, company, nor derogate any uh, any kind of other entity. So a sincere effort is made here in this presentation to quote only appropriate examples for the existing products in the market, depicting the current trends and the drug development, what is happening in this country. And this presentation has some products with company names also, but there is no intention to highlight any one or to criticize any other. This is just to mention about this thing, and there is no clear intention or false intention. Just take it with the scientific acumen perspective. So when you look at the drug development, as you all are aware, we start with the discovery, whether it's a molecule, mostly it will not be considered as a traditional medicine or Ayurvedic product or Siddha product. So mostly it's the formulation, most of the times what we are looking at a max with a concentrated extract with an identified marker is what your discovery part is, totality is there. Then the preclinical research, clinical research, and then the clinical trials, and then regulatory review, and then the launch of this product. That's how we know about the drug development. So these are the 5 drug development phases. When you ask the AI or the chat GPT, this is what you get, even if you have no clue about it. So it's all known. Okay. So can we have a brief review of what is there in the Ayurveda system? Number of formulations per entity, if you look at what is happening today, the classical formulations in the Ayurvedic formulary of India are about 985 only. But the companies are there which are more than 9,000. Among them, roughly about 7,500 companies are operational. There are MSMEs and having about 25-30 lakhs kind of a turnover per annum. But if you look at the licenses they've obtained, it starts from 100 to 500 classical formulations, because getting a classical formulation is a single line approval. You mentioned on a page what are all the classical formulations for which you require a license. And if you go to AFI, you get 985 formulation license in a 1500 square feet area. Sorry for this thing, but that's the rule what it's saying. And you will get a minimum of 10 to 50 proprietary medicines. So when I was partly working as the drug policy section in charge, I made a proposal and I prepared a draft note also. I don't know where it is right now. I said those MSMEs should not be allowed to go for more than 4 formats and 2 formulations each. And then only the standards will prevail. Otherwise, what happens, taking 100 or 150 licenses, and what kind of infrastructure they will have and what kind of standards they will bring in. So we, with concerted effort, are trying to restrict the growth of our own traditional medicine. So everybody from industry and academia have to focus on this, and they have to have the self-discipline for themselves. So there are about less than 750 varieties is my careful review from the market. And I found about 700 and max 750 varieties of classical formulations available in the market. And to my surprise, more than 250 formulations out of this will be manufactured either once in 2 years or once in 3 years. So that's the kind of demand we have on the classical formulations. Even if we assume that some formulations are missing, the total number will be definitely less than 1,000 when it comes to classical formulations. But when you look at the proprietary formulations, as we estimate, there will be 2.5 lakh proprietary formulations available in the market, and this goes from the above data which has been published on various occasions, either by the authorities or by the officers working in various institutes or the organizations and institutes. Okay. So even if you take 50 products versus about 5,000 companies, the formulations of proprietary will be more than 2.5 lakhs. And these proprietary medicines are also more than 100 per entity in most of the cases. So among these uh, proprietary formulations also, the known brands will be limited to 15 companies. And to my actual enumeration, 35, 36 companies have come. And I might have missed during my assessment, so about 50 companies with a number of 50 products. So altogether, the known brands will be around 2,500. That is total 10% of the total products what are manufactured by these 5,000 companies which have obtained more than 50 licenses of proprietary medicines. So the classical and proprietary formulation assessment, and we need not have exact numbers. The assessment is also for the guesstimate or estimate for our present discussion is definitely sufficient. How many companies have R&D? When I reviewed it, fully functional facilities are less than 50 companies out of these 9,000 R&D. Have on paper R&D facility. This is again an interesting thing, on paper. So when you actually visit, you don't find R&D there. So when they come to the physician, they say they have R&D, but when you visit their facility, they don't have R&D. That's kind of, I say this is a paper R&D facility, like the institutes have the staff. Second thing, number of R&D facilities, no R&D facilities, more than 7,500 fully functional companies. And majority of them have no clue what is R&D is all about. If you ask about the 5 stages of drug development, they cannot give you any answer for that particular question. So with this kind of an infrastructure or a background, we will be talking about the Ayurveda drug development. I'm not touching other systems because I'm not representing them. But experts can extrapolate this kind of information at a model to understand where from we have to start. If you look at the previous trends of drug development, there are two portions. There were innovations and there were imitations. Okay. The innovations and imitations are also there in the classical Ayurveda literature. There is no exception and there is nothing wrong about it. Okay. So somebody prepared Ananda Bhairavaras and the other practitioner prepared Mrityunjayaras and the third one parted Tribhuvana Kirtiras. With one ingredient different, they are all same. Gugulu preparations and many more. In the Chandra Prabhati, we have 23 different formulations. Patola Liquor, we have 47 different formulations in Bharati Vaishadratnakara. Chavanprash, you have 13 different formulations among the 52 texts. So I have done a lot of work on data and we are trying to build up a digital platform with all this information and shortly will come to know under the name ayurvedaauthentica.com. So the imitations, again, they're also not bad. Okay. I may sound bad. My intention is not to sound or criticize anybody. It is to just mention you that what were the trends and what are the trends. Okay. Before coming to the current trends, I want to say what were the previous trends. So imitation of the classical formulation or imitating the competitor formulation. So innovative formats are the formulations are always there. Look at the innovations made by the pharmaceutical industry. Many times we criticize Ayush industry that they have not done much contribution. No, it is wrong. If at all any R&D, especially D is done, it is only industry. I want to say this vociferously. Less than 1% has come from governmental organizations when it comes to D. India, apart from DRDO, never wanted any R&D. They wanted only R, IC, MR. CCRAS, CCRS, CCRUM. So we always have R. We end our activity with R, where we get a PhD, where we get a job, where we get a promotion, where we get an increment. So our intentions are little different. When it comes to other countries, they end their research with a developmental activity, and that's how they are all having multiple products. The Chinese system of medicine is the best example. Each company have a mustard on one herb. Many companies are there. Visit twice in this country. I got amazed. Even a country like a small country like Mongolia, they have one company which has a set of Shilajit drinks. Okay, so that's the kind of commitment even what we need, but not to downsize our companies also. Look at the rich history what we have. I'm trying to put it before you. For the first time, soft gel capsules have been brought in. If you look at Pudina Hara, maybe under the 3H category, this is the first. And when somebody manufactured Sherbala, it is a 3 class drug. Wedge caps have been introduced. Nasal sprays have been introduced. During COVID, this was a challenge. I was part of the committee which approved the nasal sprays. And nasal spray is a format approved for Ayush now. Sugar-free syrups, entry-coated pills, pain sprays, bombs, freeze-dried powders, film-coated tablets, sugar-coated tablets, granules, okay, and CO2 extract-based several formulations. Supercritical extracts have been used and being used by companies, either for export or the domestic use. Then, if you just look at the formulations also, look at a small formulation in the market which admired me always, Hajmola, a 50-55% salt product has become a benchmark digestive formulation. That's wonderful. A product like V52, it has crossed the barriers. It made the allopathic practitioner to prescribe and stood as #1 product for several decades. And look at Septilin. And what V52 did, it brought in Chicorium intibus, which was less known in Ayurveda and more known in Unani, into limelight. Septilin, it has become a definition for our prescriptions for allergies and antibiotic requirements and Ayurveda science. A simple product like Nerosin, which is simple Philanthus umbilica based, but it's revolutionized. A single product and it is doing wonders. Look at Fenpuro based on the fenugreek and this extract-based capsule has crossed the barriers and it travels to various countries today. And this company survives with one product. Look at Amtotone, the Ashoka-based syrup, which has created reverberations everywhere. Look at a classical formulation Chyawanprash, which has brought in several variants. And look at Sona Chandi Chyawanprash. Though it is not in market today, but it has created a lot of vibrations. And look at a recent KSM 66, which is Ashwagandha, recently concluded the second global summit of WHO, highlighted Ashwagandha, and the reason behind it is KSM. Okay, now the imitation, when we talk about imitations, the classical formulations imitations are also plenty. I just quote one example, which strikes to my mind always, and I admire. Look at a company branding Chyawanprash as Chyawanprash. That's the beauty. They have not branded Chyawanprash in a different name. There are companies which have branded Chyawanprash in different names and perished. Whereas the company branded Chyawanprash and made other companies to follow. And today, the major varieties which are available in the market for Chyawanprash are more than 60 varieties. Okay, just I try to bring in some of them for your understanding. So imitations also sometimes has given business. That's the point I wanted to tell you. Okay, then the imitative formats and formulations are also very important from classical literature. If you look at the classical formulations, I was mentioning about one example, but there are plenty of other aspects also. Vati Gutika Today you see Kafola, Kantila, and all those things. Avaleha, Ratnapras, Chona, Chandi, Mini. Quadha, your cardio plus syrup in our area in the South India for protecting the cardiovascular endothelium. It is a big success. And Fanta, all your tea formats are Fanta based. And your churna, Kayam churna or Pachal churna, they're all churna based. And your Panaka, all syrups like Nanari or Rose syrups are all based on your ancient format. Bhasma. Today, though it is mentioned in 19th century Ayurveda books, but these are the lateral developments. Therefore, Bhasma of Kukutanda or Mayur are the additions to the classical. Asavarishtas. Today, if you look at Panchasava or Pancharishta, these are the imitations, but they have given a new business origin for the industry. Arka, your grapewaters are all based on Arka only. And within Arka,